people to see me in a weakened state. I don't want people to see me as ungrateful or anything like that. I was nervous that that's what this makes me look like, but it's also really important to me that I share with you not only the really good, exciting moments, but also like the little blips where I just don't feel great. I think that's really important that you see me as a human being, because I think a lot of people don't.
Rachel Zegler tried to silence her critics, but instead her post only fueled the fire. In a viral video seemingly recorded in her own room, the Snow White actress looked into the camera with a mix of frustration and emotion. She claimed that no matter how much criticism she receives, people still show up to watch her work and support her.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Her tone shifted between sadness and subtle sarcasm, at times vulnerable, at times defiant. She not only defended her performance, but also directly addressed the ongoing negativity surrounding the project.
And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Watching Rachel Zegler's video, it seemed like she was speaking with a lot of confidence. However, it also felt as if she resented herself or regretted playing the role of Snow White. Her statements led to memes being made about her on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and across social media, which only added to the controversy. All over social media today, it's just Snow White's disaster flooding everywhere.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago.
Oh my God!
And therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
Okay.
And what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just.
Yeah, boy.
And who can become a fantastic leader. And the reality is, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom.
Let's see. Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you? Spare me your white savior complex.
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
I'm really sorry. I was just trying to be kind.
Kind? If you want to be kind, disappear and take the patriarchy with you. Seriously, go away, stalker. You're weird. Weird.
And honestly, I don't even feel bad. They blew $250 million on this, and after 2 days, they barely pulled in $43 million. Is this some kind of joke? This flop was written all over it from day one. And don't even try to hit me with that, oh, give it some time. It's only been 2 days. No. I'm not giving it a damn second more. Every project nowadays, every studio, it's like they're intentionally crashing their own stuff. And the biggest issue? They cast the fakest, most disconnected, and one of the most hated actresses in Hollywood. Like seriously, people hate her more than they hate the villains. And on top of that, they messed up the villain casting too. For real? And now people are like, oh no, Snow White flopped. Bruh, are you even surprised? They planned this flop themselves. Now I'm just waiting to see what the next disaster will be.
Snow White, budget $250 million, box office $43 million. Oh, but it's only been 2 days, give it a chance. No, I'm not gonna give it a chance. I'm not even talking about that number. Because like all the flops are unsurprising at this point. Something is going on behind the scenes with almost every major animation, video game, and movie studio that they're doing this intentionally or something. I don't f***ing know. I'm not even gonna talk about this. People are like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guys—
Even one frustrated movie lover said, I watched Snow White, so you guys don't have to. And trust me, it was pure pain. First of all, let me tell you, Snow White doesn't get her name because of her fair skin anymore. Yep, you heard that right. They literally changed it just to somehow make Rachel Zegler fit into the role. In this mess, they claim she's called Snow White because she survived a snowstorm. Bruh, what? Since when was that the story? Where did that even come from? And get this, her parents are now the king and queen of a utopian communist society where everyone shares everything equally and resources are distributed fairly. What is this? A socialist documentary or a fairy tale? They even ruined the iconic fairest of them all line and turned it into some weird social message instead of what it was meant to be. And people out here saying, give it a chance. Bro, give what a chance? This was a flop in the making from day one. They spent $250 million and made only $43 million in 2 days, and you still want us to be patient? Are we clowns?
All right, guys, I watched Snow White, so you don't have to. Let's get into it. Now, first things first, Snow White gets her name not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know. Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm. Her father and mother are king and queen to a utopian communist society. I'm not joking, guys. Everybody shares and is mindful of what each person is getting, and we spread our resources evenly, which is where this idea of fairness, as Snow White is the fairest of them all, is really presented in the film.
Rachel Zegler gave an interview about Snow White and sent the whole controversy on a non-stop flight. She said, the 1937 Snow White is outdated. The prince just shows up and saves her, which is weird. But she didn't stop there. She even called the prince a stalker. And that was it. The internet grabbed their boarding passes, made memes, and launched Zegler Airways' free flight across social media. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. The same topic. What did Rachel Zegler just say? Later, Zegler tried to explain, I didn't mean to insult the original story. I just wanted to show a new perspective. But by then, the flight had already taken off. I'm laughing. That sounds great, right?
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
What was supposed to be a magical fairy tale comeback turned into a full-blown digital witch trial. And this time, the villain wasn't some evil queen. It was Rachel herself. People were already waiting for this moment because they hadn't forgotten Rachel's past interviews where she literally laughed at the 1937 Snow White, calling it weird and creepy. Fans were like, seriously? That's the respect you have for a Disney classic? Well, now deal with it. Social media caught fire instantly. Memes, clips, and every single post painted Rachel as the villain of her own story. What was supposed to be a magical and dreamy fairy tale comeback turned into a full-blown digital witch trial. And guess what? This time, the villain wasn't the evil queen. It was Rachel herself. People were already mad because Rachel, in her earlier interviews, laughed off the romantic story of Snow White, calling it outdated. Like, seriously, who does that? She literally disrespected a movie that holds a special place in millions of hearts. And now, those clips have aged like spoiled milk. Every time people see them, they just lose it. But the disaster didn't stop at words. The box office delivered the real slap, Sherry. Snow White opened with a pathetic $45 million for Disney. That's beyond embarrassing. This was supposed to be the remake of the first Disney animated film. Meanwhile, The Little Mermaid, even with its own controversies, made $95 million opening weekend like a champ. Box office analysts weren't just worried, they were stunned. Some flat out called it Disney's biggest flop in years. Theaters got the message too. They quietly started removing the Snow White from the big screens, shifting it to side slots, and some even ditched it completely by the second week. Imagine, even Disney, the king of the box office, couldn't save it. For Rachel, this turned into a public humiliation. Not even Disney's mega marketing could cover up the damage. The audience had already made up their minds. We're not watching. And then came the Oscars and social media. Oh, it exploded. The memes, the roastings, the chaos, everything went wild. It was supposed to be a grand, magical red carpet moment. Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, arm in arm, taking over Hollywood. But no, what we got instead looked like the prelude to a reality show catfight. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a plastic Disney sword. Photos and videos instantly went viral, showing zero chemistry, zero smiles, and zero eye contact. Gal Gadot. She might as well have been standing next to a brick wall, barely even looking Rachel's way during interviews. And oh, don't worry, the internet caught it faster than Disney's PR team could say. It's fine. Body language experts and gossip blogs were already making TikToks with 500K likes, diagnosing every stiff shoulder and awkward glance. Reality check. These two were not BFFs anymore, if they ever were. Later, insiders spilled the tea Gal was only doing promo because of her contract, but behind the scenes, Sis had already mentally clocked out. The kicker? Gal's reputation came out sparkling clean. She kept landing roles, bagging brand deals, and living her best Hollywood life. Meanwhile, Rachel was drowning faster than the Titanic. Rachel's fans, down to a few diehards holding up lifeboats while the rest of the internet handed her L after L. The Oscars were supposed to be her moment of redemption. Instead, it became the official stamp of Snow White's failure. And guess who was crowned the queen of that flop? Miss Zegler herself. The fairy dust? Gone. The West Side Story praise evaporated. That modern twist she tried to give Snow White. People called it disrespectful, tone deaf, and straight up cringe. Rachel tried to make Snow White a feminist icon, but instead made people wonder if she even liked the character at all. As the box office numbers tanked harder than expected, the Twitter trolls came armed. Old interviews resurfaced clip after clip of Rachel rolling her eyes, calling the 1937 classic weird and outdated, laughing at the romance, and promising her Snow White wouldn't need no prince. Instead of applause, she got memes. Instead of praise, she got ratioed. Even hardcore Disney fans, the ones who'd wear Mickey Mouse ears to a funeral, said, "We're out." Parents refused to take their kids. Grandparents filmed emotional TikToks about how Rachel ruined their childhood memories. And even casual viewers said, she's got attitude, not charm. Words like smug, entitled, and out of touch flooded every comment section. And here's the real horror story. Hollywood went quiet. No directors defended her. No co-stars tweeted support. No industry pals came to the rescue. Not even a half-hearted, she's trying her best. Rachel was left standing solo under the harshest spotlight. Studios, they panicked. Whispers of dropped projects, rethinking marketing plans, and second guessing if she was even bankable started spreading. Behind the scenes, the question wasn't just, can she sell tickets? It became, will people even show up if she's in it? Ouch. The coldest reality of all. Hollywood runs on perception, and Rachel, who was once the golden girl, was now the poster child for how to ruin a career in 10 interviews. Her rise had been storybook Spielberg's darling Golden Globe winner, Gen Z's new queen, but the Snow White disaster flipped the script. The goodwill was gone. The fans, gone. And with every defensive TikTok and press rant, Rachel only dug deeper. Redemption? Maybe. But only if she drops the ego, brings out the charm, and for the love of Disney, stops roasting the classics. Right now, Hollywood's already calling her the it girl who fell off. Not because of one bad movie, but because she just couldn't read the room when it mattered most.